healthy people that have that area of their life together. Now they need something too.
We put so much emphasis on the things outside of our control to dictate our inner life.
I'm telling my kids to chase their dreams, and they're being trained and taught every day by, I think, some people that have given up on theirs. We've got to do something different, do better.
Hey everybody, this is the Money Hole Podcast. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and download. And today I'm here with my good friend, Doug Wood. Doug, I'm so excited to be chatting with you this morning, bro.
Chris, it's long overdue. I appreciate the invite to the podcast, my man.
Oh man, it's my honor. And I mean that, for people that are going to be listening to this, I'll give my little background on you, but then I'm going to ask you some questions so people know who you are, because you're such an inspirational guy. And you're also just a humble guy. You're a servant. And it's rare that you meet someone like Doug Wood, who's just like all of us in our friend group out here in Redding. We have the most respect for you, man. And you're just one of those guys that we love when we get chances to spend time with you. But, Doug Wood is an entrepreneur. He's a pastor. He's a dad. He's a husband. But I was thinking about it this morning. He's a transformational guy. And not only has he transformed his own life through the power of God and hard work and just really applying himself, but now he really lives a life. Like if people follow him on Instagram or you follow any of his social media feeds, you're just going to see a guy who literally lives his life to serve other people. And it's really an inspiring thing, bro. I mean, you've had such a great impact on all of us. Like look at Ahab would not be where he's at if it wasn't for you. A lot of us have taken our fitness more serious, and we're like 5 states away from you, bro. So it's incredible. In fact, I was at a conference in Las Vegas about 3 weeks ago with a bunch of really well-known mortgage and real estate people and public speakers. Gary Vaynerchuk and Alex Ramosi was there. And I saw that there was a guy there, and your name came up, and his name was Brian Covey. And apparently Brian's kind of a big deal in his own way. And he just went on and on to tell me how much respect he had for you. And I just thought that was so cool, man. It was a small world. This guy and I did not know each other. We're in the middle of Vegas. And so you just have that reputation, man. And I know you're a humble guy. And if you're anything like me, hearing this kind of stuff probably makes you feel a little uncomfortable. But dude, you're doing the right thing and people are watching. So, but what I would love to hear, because I don't actually know the story, is like, how did you begin this transformation in your life? I know you have a book out that you gave a bunch of us called From Church Boy to Millionaire. And a lot of what I talk about on this podcast is for people to get their money whole, because most people right now, 70% of America is in credit card debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and we have high inflation and people are really hurting in their money. But I would love to hear, bro, like, how did you end up like having this 180 in your life where you just started going after excellence in all these areas?
Yeah, man. Well, let's dive into it. I'm super passionate about my story, and I'm super passionate about everybody listening's story, because we all have a story. And the sad thing, Chris, is too many people are keeping their story quiet, or they're waiting to get their story just right, just perfect, just Instagram filtered ready before they unleash it. And the problem is, if you're getting ready to get ready, you ain't ever going to be ready. Your story needs to be told today. And, we can go back to countless decisions we've all made. There was probably some good in life and in business, and then some that are great. And one of the best decisions I ever made was the decision to get right into business with my father when I got right out of high school. And I did that for almost 12 years. And I owned a furniture store with him. He trained me up. I got going. But man, for those 12 years, I really, really, I would just say learned, cut my teeth on business, cut my teeth on marriage, had a couple of kids, and I quickly found myself right in the thick of 2007, 2008 with a small business. And man, it about buried me. And there's a story in my book that I talk about where I actually went and met with a bankruptcy attorney because I realized I was $250,000 in unsecured debt, which was mostly credit card. It was all business. I wouldn't say I was being careless, but I was just, you're doing what you have to do to maintain a small business. And just year after year, it was adding up. But the problem was I still had a lease on a building, and I was over there was $1 million left on that lease. And could not be bankrupted. That was a personal guarantee. And I realized there was no way out but up. And my only way out, and I sadly realized when I couldn't file bankruptcy, I contemplated suicide. And I can talk about that freely now, but it's pretty sad when you realize that you're worth more dead than you are alive. And that my kids and my wife, possibly from a transactional financial state, would be better if I was dead because my wife wasn't on the lease. And so I'm like, man, this would be a way to give. This is my gift to my family that I got us in this hole that I was keeping privately. I was keeping to myself. And of course, when you're in the thick of credit card debt, you're limping to church on Sunday, putting the fake smile on your face. People think you own a business, so life is going great. And, like, oh man, still got the boat in the driveway that hasn't been repoed yet. So people think things are good and you're keeping things quiet. And, I had a deep addiction to pornography that was like my dopamine hit to get me through. It was so weird. It was such a complicated relationship because it was like, God, I need your strength. But then I went to porn for my other source of strength. And it was just this whole cycle, bro. And, there's a lot more to the story, but I decided then that if it's going to be, it's up to me. And that's when Philippians 4:13 came in, became real to me. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And most people pray that thinking like, oh yeah, God can do, all things through Christ. And like, yeah, if I just pray, it'll take care of itself. But the scripture goes, I can do all things, meaning I have to do my part for God to do his part. And sometimes you just need to have a change of course in life. And it was 2010 that I drew a line in the sand and that I saw a post on Facebook from what would become my health coach that began to alter my course and change of life. And the story goes on, but yes, I did get myself out of that debt. I am here today to tell the story, and I'm fiercely proud of it because sometimes you have to quit on your thing to align with what God's thing is for you in your next season.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So I think you know this, but I've been in recovery for 22 years from being addicted to pretty much everything myself. And one of the things that we talk about is the jumping off point in life. You could call it a rock bottom. And I think it's so easy sometimes for people to look at a guy like you and other guys we know and just to have that thought, like it must be easy for him or must be nice. And that's why I think I agree with 100%, man. Telling our story is so important, especially when you share the struggle like you do. For people to understand, oh, no, there's no difference between Doug and you. The only difference is what how he defined his jumping off point. Instead of it happening to him, it happened for him. Instead of that being the end of him, it was the beginning of him. And I just, man, I love that about your story. I didn't actually know all of that. So thanks for sharing that. So you had this experience in 2008. You made a commitment to have integrity and to show up and to step up. And it sounds like you had a spiritual experience where you realized you needed supernatural help to do all that. Tell me what happens from here, because I know that, you had financial problems, but you were also a bigger man. You weren't as fit as you are now. So take me a little bit through kind of what happened the first couple of years.
Well, it was, I was kind of still in the thick of it, and it was 2010. And I said, their only way, out is through. If you're going through hell, might as well keep on going. Why do you want to stop? I couldn't go backwards. I knew that wasn't an option. So I drew a line in the sand. And as cliche as people say, oh, I'm drawing a line in the sand, drawing a line in the sand for me was taking extreme personal responsibility, extreme ownership. Like I was done blaming why business wasn't good, why my wife I thought wasn't doing her part. If I just would have, been gifted something else, or I would have done something. I stopped looking at the past. And that's really the measure of a man, Chris, or woman, but really the measure of a man. Can you apologize without making an excuse?
Yeah.
Can you apologize or take personal responsibility without a but? But yeah, if this wouldn't have happened, no, it happened because it was on your watch.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it did happen for you, but it happened because it was up to you. It was on you, bro. And you got to own that. And that's one thing that I've done since 2011 is I've owned my stuff and I choose to take personal responsibility, and it is on me. And without a but. And I really hammer this home because it fires me up. So many people are still living in the blame. They cannot fully apologize. They cannot fully take responsibility. without a but. And I said, enough is enough. I was 270 pounds. My blood pressure was high. Saw a post come across